Sweet. I played around like with those backgrounds too, and I can never like settle on one because the blur, it's like too blurred, like cuts off part of your body.
The live action Cowboy Bebop we wanted.
Oh, you know that there's a oh my god, I blanked on everything. Never mind. As soon as it comes back, I'll tell you.
A petition to bring it back.
Yeah, there you go. It finally got 100,000.
But it shouldn't come back.
Science.
It should have only been one season, like the original anime.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't be mad at them breaking it into seasons, but maybe I don't fucking know. I don't know what else to know about that.
So I was looking for a meme earlier, so now I'm going through all my old memes, and some of them are really mean now, right? Like this one. It didn't age well. I have a feeling that future SCOTUS memes will be ruthless.
Yeah, about that.
Right?
There are like some movies that Alan and I tried to rewatch from like the early 2000s. This didn't age well. Like one movie we tried to watch with Lily, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, it has like the funniest parts," and then we're watching it, and we're like, "Wait a minute, no."
We've definitely.
Wait, which one was this?
What movie was it?
Talladega
it was Talladega.
Talladega Nights, yeah.
Yeah.
We
I had explained
Waterboy last night.
Yeah.
We went on an Adam Sandler kick starting, what was it, Saturday?
I love it.
So we did Happy Gilmore and The Wedding Singer.
We watched Just Go With It Saturday. Or no, we finished it up Friday. I love that movie. I think that was his last good movie. Oh, except for how Huey Wing.
Yeah. A lot of his movies really do age well. It's very rare that they don't.
Well, when you first start watching it, you're like, oh no, and then it's like, oh, okay.
Mama said, movies that don't age well are for the devil.
I had third graders today asking what service Balto was on so that they could go watch it.
Oh.
And then the fourth graders were like, can we watch this next time we're here? I was like, if I'm here, then yeah.
I wonder if they had seen it before.
Some of them had. Some of them recognized it. But there was literally like 2 to 5 kids throughout the entire day that recognized it.
Damn.
Movie day was always the most lit day in class.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite sub, boom, done.
But from like hearing everybody's stories, that's like half the week now for most kids. Like a movie once a week is normal.
Really?
I mean, it depends. Because I know, like, the assistant coach, she got pulled to sub for 5th grade. I think she's following the sub plans. And if they can't get a sub for the class, then they just split them up into the other classrooms. So, if I knew anything about music, I would. I mean, they're lucky they're not watching Barbie and the Nutcracker, okay?
You could have played the sound.
I haven't
of
watched
music.
Musicas. The second half just gets a little depressing. Or like Disney song movies, like musical movies.
One of them was like, "Can we watch Encanto?"
You're like, no.
One of the fourth graders last week. "Can we watch season 4 of Cobra Kai? Can we watch Squid Games?"
Yes.
Oh, dude, we
No.
finished Cobra Kai. So good. Did you guys finish
Did
it
you
yet?
finish it?
What? Yeah. What'd y'all think?
I knew Miguel was gonna go find his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie returns to his dad at the end.
It was time.
This time.
But also, fucking Silver, what a villain. Like, crazy unhinged, like, worse than Kreese.
I don't know. I saw it coming. Like, once Kreese kind of spoke out of line against the Cobra Kai Creed, I knew something was gonna happen. Like, that was a look, you know.
I'm glad Tori won. I'm just sad that he paid off a ref to ensure it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
she deserved to win on her own merit, you know?
He earned that.
She really did.
Yeah.
But dude, Johnny to Miguel, that was heartbreaking.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
I think
so
that
bad.
was his moment where he was like, all right, I'm out. Bye, I'm leaving.
yeah, you're not my dad. I thought you could be. And I was like, poor Miguel. I wonder who's going to be his dad in next season.
I don't know. But I'm ready to start when y'all are.
Let's do it.
Do it, do
Hey,
it.
okay, so what does Gandalf lose the battle again, or well, wins the battle against, and then comes back as Gandalf the White, the Balrog, right?
Balrog.
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 Yeah. He fights him on a mountaintop.
Rog. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, it's an O, not an A.
Balrog.
Yeah.
Balrog.
Yeah.
Alan was talking to me.
The topics we discuss are many.
No story too bold to talk about.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You could have totally rolled through it. Let's get started.
The topics we discuss are many.
No story too bold to talk about.
Strictly our own opinions.
But they are opinions from people like you.
Welcome to the NAKE'd podcast.
I invented electricity. Benjamin Franklin's the devil. It's a DM Tech Allen.
If you fall asleep while on camera at a D&D game, we are going to screenshot it. Hey guys, it's Keelan.
Sorry. I got cut in my mind for a second. I can just see Marco's face behind me.
Took this.
I totally blanked on my one-liner. Thanks, NJ. It's Ethan.
That's the new Thanks Obama? It's a J.
I mean, it could be.
No, the new thanks Obama is thanks Nintendo for having your NPCs fucking bomb everything. Like, bomb us in a bad way.
Oh, that's right. You guys.
Oh
played
yeah,
that
your
too.
Mario Party game.
Dude, we put them on normal. We give them more stars, and they still find a way to win. Like, I just want to play.
For real, like, I'm no slouch at the game. And within the first 3 rounds, it beat 2 of my records.
Damn. Are you sure you didn't accidentally set them to like super hard?
No, they were on normal. And like, I've never even seen a computer set a record. And they set 2 records.
Damn.
And it was Donkey Kong too.
Fucking Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong has no shill.
I've been meaning Donkey Kong lately, so I'm kind of like, yeah.
You know who else doesn't have any chill?
These nuts.
Got him.
Got him.
Wow.
Our sound effects.
Oh,
Wow.
We should just record us doing the sound effects and put our own voices.
Oh, we should
on the sound effects.
Absolutely. You know what? That's gonna be y'all's homework this week. Just make a couple of sound bites that you want for me to put on my soundboard, and I'll make it happen.
We need a. On that note. Well, another note. This year is an exciting year because we have our Texas elections coming up, and many other states, of course, are having their own elections, but Texas in particular, it's an exciting year for us because we're having our governor race. So there's a lot of different things to vote for. It's a very important election year. So first day of early voting is on Valentine's Day. So take your sweetie and go vote. Early vote.
Get crazy.
Best date day.
Best date day. But yeah, there's a couple of different candidates. So Greg Abbott, he's our current governor. He announced his re-election this past Sunday. And there's a couple other... There's a couple other candidates that are kind of rivaling for that Republican, nomination.
Mm-hmm.
So his biggest contenders look like former state senator Dan Huffines and former Texas GOP chairman Alan West. But Greg Abbott is, he's been in his term for I think 3 years now. Will it be 3 years?
Yeah.
And it's incredibly hard to unseat an incumbent, especially one that has so much name recognition. So have you guys checked out the other GOP candidates? Has anything kind of sparked your interest? There's a couple other ones like Paul Bello, Danny Harrelson, Candy K. Horn, Rick Perry, but not the one you're thinking of, a different Rick Perry. Poor guy. You should have just went by Richard Perry.
Right.
And Chad Prather.
Rich Perry.
Rich Perry, yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. There's also a couple of Democratic picks, too. So the one, of course, that has the most name recognition is Beto O'Rourke. He was a former El Paso congressman. And you can see...
Hold on. Can you please use his real name? Use his real name. Robert O'Rourke, okay? He's Irish.
Okay, in that case, I'll refer to Ted Cruz as Rafael Cruz.
Yes. No, I thought his last name wasn't really Cruz.
Is it? No,
it's Cruz. It's
I don't
Rafael
know.
Cruz.
Okay.
But
I guess it's his first name. Yeah.
On the Irish note, did you know that the Irish actually helped the Spanish a lot during their independence from Spain?
Well, yeah, they hate the English.
Yeah.
Have you never heard of IRA?
No, I have. I didn't know that Irish people actually directly helped Mexico. Anyway, just things I didn't know before.
Wait,
So
did they help the Spanish or did they help the Mexicans? Because the
They helped
Spanish,
the
Mexicans.
yeah.
They helped the Mexicans. And I was thinking about it because, I know some, Mexicans, from Mexico that are gingered hair and really fair skin. And it makes me wonder, oh, is that why that you have, people that are, have, a super Irish, background? Is that why? Because the Irish had helped in some war a long time ago? I thought it was interesting. Anyway, Robert O'Rourke, he was a former El Paso congressman, and he ran previously against Rafael Cruz, aka Ted Cruz, in the senator race. I think the nail in the coffin for Beto was when he said, "I'm gonna take away everyone's guns," but that race was extremely close. I don't know how it's gonna go for him against Greg Abbott, and not just automatically ruling out the other candidates. I have checked out some of the other Democratic candidates, and Joy Diaz is someone who catches my interest. But I wish that people had more of a platform so we can see what they were about. Because we know what Greg Abbott's about. We know what Beto's about. But these other people, what kind of fresh take could they bring,
Yeah.
Well, see, that's also the problem. Beto O'Rourke is the issue that everybody has with the Democratic Party, and Greg Abbott is the issue that everybody has with the GOP. Like, Greg Abbott is a good lawyer, right? And if you need somebody to fill a seat, metaphorically and physically, Greg Abbott's your guy, right?
Dude, okay.
Right? Like, that's the bad part, right? If you want a bureaucrat to fill a seat out of the pack, Greg Abbott is him. But I think a lot of people are requesting change. And I know Huffins, he's been campaigning for way longer than everybody else. He was the first to announce. And he has some very radical policies. A lot of the GOP candidates do have some of the more radical policies. But we moved to a point where they're no longer radical ideas, right? Like decriminalization of marijuana in Texas, the only people holding it up is Dallas. Okay, like, I mean, our capital.
Our lieutenant governor too.
Yeah, Paxton.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, Greg Abbott said he'll never sign the bill, right? He's a traditionalist, but
And Dallas likes their cocaine.
yeah. But again, so you can ask anybody in Texas, hey, if I really needed to score some pot, where would I go? Austin. You know? Like, go to the Capitol, and you will literally just see people walking down you go to 6th Street and you'll smell it on the street. Like, it's a normal occurrence now in Austin. So that's our capital. Come on, guys. At this point, I'm not saying you got to legalize or do any of that, but a lot of the Republican candidates are pushing for decriminalization, and I think we're at that point where, just decriminalize it. Stop throwing people in jail for it.
Agreed. I think that's really important for their campaign, especially because there is a lot of in-between voters. Like, they're kind of middle of the road, and social issues like that will sway them one way or the other. So we have our governor race. And then we also, speaking of Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, he's also up for re-election. He is also seeking his 3rd term. And there's a couple other candidates. I don't really recognize any of these names. Pretty sure he'll secure his primary. For the Democrats, we have Michelle Berkeley, Carla Braley, and Mike Collier going for Lieutenant Governor. And on the GOP side, Tracy Bradford, Todd Bullis, Daniel Miller, Aaron Sowells, and Zach Vance. So Lieutenant Governor is also up for re-election. I don't know anything about those candidates. Some of the candidate sites were either not available or not up. I know that we just passed the deadline to get on the ballot, but it kind of feels like he should have had stuff like this put together beforehand. Just saying. So,
I mean, as a person who tends to vote blue, how do y'all feel about the Democratic choices for Texas, even though Texas is considered a purple state right now?
I don't feel super confident. I have joined like a Democrat like grassroots meeting, and it wasn't. I think the values that they were pushing the volunteers to do aren't my values. So, like, for example, during the presidential election, Democrats called it the war room. And to me, that's just really divisive like language to use. Like, you're already pitting someone like against each other. And I know it's a race, like it's a campaign. You're supposed to get people to vote for your candidate. But to me, it just secures that there is absolutely no attempt to reach a hand across the aisle. And for me to vote for someone, I would need somebody who is set on like not just compromise, but also seeing things from different perspectives, which, we have these candidates to look for. I don't know, Alan, if you have a different experience.
So as far in terms of like people that are actually coming up, I'm a little disappointed to see Beto back on the ballot again, especially after last time. Like after he went after, oh my god, I already forgot his name. Ted Cruz's
Cruz.
position. Yeah, thank you.
Senator
Ted Cruz. Yeah, like my real question for him is what do you want? Like, do you want to be governor? Do you want to be senator? Do you want to be mayor? Pick what you want, and stick with that.
Reaching for a power grab.
That's exactly how he's coming off, and as a big power grab.
Like, I get it. You want to make some changes, but you know what? You didn't make it the first time. You going for a different position is just confusing everyone. Let someone else take a crack at governor. You know,
well, and not only that,
or help somebody else.
He flipped his position too, or he added to his position. Like after he lost it, you know, he's like, "Let's round up the guns." Like, wait a minute, dude.
Yeah,
that was a nail in the coffin. Absolutely, you can't tell Texans you're going to take away their guns. Like that's just dumb.
So, but you got to remember from 2018, I would say when he had his first appearance, right, till now, how many races has he been in? You know,
3.
That alone, he's been in every single one that's been possible, and that was like some of the, I guess, I don't know if the desperation at the moment, right? Like, who has the name recognition? Nobody does, because
it's exactly what it is.
When you come down to it, there's no mayor of Houston or mayor of Dallas that will ever rise up to be, you know, a big leader of the state. Austin is a shit show. San Antonio, we're having our own struggles down here. Like I think one problem that we are facing is that all our major cities have Democratic mayors, and we are, you know, a Republican-led state in a way, and that works. That's a good check and balance for us. But also, there's nobody of quality coming up from the mayors, though. Like, none of the mayors last more than a term or 2 terms.
Yeah, or they go off somewhere else.
Or go to Congress for a while. What about you guys? Like, will you likely vote for your incumbents? Or I know Puzzled's like more Green Party, but would you vote for the incumbents in like the primaries, or would you try to check out these other candidates?
I want to try to check out, you know, kind of everybody, see who's got what going on, what are they actually for, what are they actually against. Because, you know, the website you gave us was really good for like the first couple of candidates. And then afterwards it's like, oh, here's their party slogan. And this is, it really didn't tell us what they were for, what they wanted to do or anything. So I definitely need to look more into that. I think my biggest worry with this election is Texas is, you know, definitely Republican state, and, you know, rural areas are always going to show that. But with as many Californians as we have coming in, how are they going to really tip those ballot scales?
I didn't even consider that.
That's a good point.
But, you know, you think about it, some of the laws that have been passed and all that, you know, like say Beto gets into the governorship, we're not going to progress any further. We're not going to progress in any way, because all he's going to do is attack and dismantle everything Greg Abbott did, right? So I think Texas is a very big hotbed right now, in the fact that we have a Supreme Court challenge. We're challenging the federal government on a few items. You know, our governor has decided to stand against the president in some big aspects. So I think them pushing a candidate like Beto is showing how desperate they are, because again, he has name recognition, but he has a horrible track history.
Yeah, plus, I mean, look at the amount of confidence the voting class, that the majority voting age group right now has in the Democratic Party. Like, it's abysmal.
But also, you got to remember, the Valley voted for Trump. The Valley all flipped for Trump. And that is I mean, name a more Hispanic-oriented culture in Texas besides the Valley, right? Like, it's always been a Democratic stronghold, and it flipped last election. And I think that's going to show that's gonna show how this election is gonna play out.
Yeah, that's true.
I can see that.
Because people don't like the gas prices right now. People aren't liking the food prices right now. Literally, at the end of the end of November, the energy company told us, "Hey, we're raising your rate to the legal maximum." Then last week they said, "Hey, it's a new year. We're raising your rate to the legal maximum again." So on average, about 9% in over 3 months is what our rates were raised. Like, I don't think more social spending and more divisive policies are gonna help move us along in a better path.
Well, it's not.
It's-
Sorry, NJ. It's not so much the social programs that are hurting us. It's ERCOT not wanting to do anything.
Well, yeah, no, I'm saying there's a lot of problems on our plate right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if we get a governor in who's going to push to add more social programs on top of what we already are, if we're already stretched thin, we don't want to add more spending on top of it.
Yeah, actually, the only thing that I think can help the situation is the legalization of marijuana and like heavy taxation, kind of like not heavy, but similar to Colorado.
Yeah, there's this 25%, but
Yeah.
they put that number
right back into the community and schools
exactly.
too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Another part that's up for re-election is Attorney General. So Ken Paxton has not been having a really good time.
Fuck him.
He is part of this high-profile securities fraud indictment and FBI investigation to claims of malfeasance in office. So I don't know too many details about that one, but it may hurt his chances in re-election. He does have some other candidates against him: George P. Bush, Louis Gohmert, Eva Guzman. Democratic candidates is Mike Fields, Rochelle Garza, Joe Gawortsky, Lee Merritt, and S. T-Bone Raynor. So that there's also, like, I sent this in the chat. So if you're in Texas, I would highly recommend you to go to the TexasTribune.org and look at their election ballot there. Find your district. If you don't know what district you're in, go to the House of Representatives site. You can plug in your address and find out what district you are, so you know who you're voting for. I know personally, like our district, I was like, what? Like, I didn't know that this person was leading me. I thought I was in a totally different district. So definitely check that out. Make sure that you're voting and checking out those candidates. But yeah, early voting goes into effect February 14th. I think it extends until February 24th. Actual election day is May 1st, and that's primaries. And then we get into the election coming closer to November. And I believe early voting for that starts in September. So we have a lot of time. Last day to register to vote is April 1st. So if you're not registered to vote, please register to vote. It's super easy. Stop by your local library, fill out a card, and drop it in the mailbox. But yeah, that's my soapbox for voting. Vote. But Alan actually asked me a really interesting question, because we were talking about like our candidates and like who we want to check out or who we're interested in what they had to say. And he asked me, what issues are important to you this election? And I want to know, what issues are important to you guys?
I'll go
Don't
first.
regress us. I think I'm with Crazy a little bit on that. I want to move forward. I want to keep pushing, but I'm definitely for social services and putting that money back into the community to rebuild it. But it has to be in a way that doesn't regress us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's where I'm at. I'm for somebody who's going to get in and start reevaluating a lot of things. I think there's a lot of laws and a lot of items that we're all ready to update and move forward on. I think
barefoot.
Yeah.
It's illegal to drive barefoot.
Yeah.
It's illegal to drive barefoot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
It's
you're not.
illegal.
Oh my god.
You're supposed
I
to have
have not-
closed-toed shoes.
But everybody
So,
wears flip flops down here. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
That's racist. What's up, JW?
But there's a lot of those type of issues that seem small but have been adding up. I would say we have seen the whole, critical race theory in schools items. I don't think it's been a big issue here, but there's been some stuff that comes up that seems a little weird.
Oh,
and
no,
I don't think.
Texas has banned critical race theory from being taught in schools. Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, so that's what they say, hey, you can't teach critical race theory, right? But wasn't the issue in the first place. The issue was that they were injecting it into other aspects of study, right? So critical race theory falls into like a psychology study and, like those kind of items. And they were trying to force it into math problems or, English assignments. And it was like their way of working items to talk about the subject without talking about the subject, right? And that was some of the stuff that people were freaking out about. And so they made this big sweeping decree, which of course is just stupid and makes everything worse.
Okay. Critical race theory and math, the fuck. No, the two have nothing to do together. Critical race theory in English or in like social studies, I can see, especially because, think of an author from like the 1800s, maybe even earlier. That is where it can play a role into how they write, how they pick characters, so on and so forth. But in math, it's science? Fucking gym? You have critical race theory in gym? No. So I get that.
And I think a lot of people have an issue with it. One way you can look at it as that you're telling some people they're less than other people, right? And that's just one way to look at it. And I can see it in some of that, where if you go up to, two kids in the same class at the same school, but you tell one that, you're being held back, that person's going to grow up with a mentality that, hey, I'm being held back. I can't be my best, right? So I think just putting those thoughts into, when high school is one thing, but elementary, middle school, like, let kids develop together.
I feel like in an elementary setting, it is important to teach social contracts of critical race theory. And I think it has to do with like traditional stories that are told, or even like pieces of history that are basically being written out. But that's definitely a conversation for another time.
Yeah, well, but
yeah.
I mean, so for and that's the other thing, right? Like our experiences in school here in South Texas is totally different than somebody in Colorado, right?
Absolutely.
Like so here, one thing we do is here in San Antonio, it's 65% Hispanic in San Antonio, right? It's a super majority, right? In most things. But still, by national and state standards, if you are Hispanic, you are a minority. You have minority status across the board for governmental issues and for everything else, right? So that right there kind of contradicts some of what you're telling kids in certain aspects, right? So you're saying here that a Hispanic child is held behind because of the color of their skin or the standards they were grown up in. Somebody on the east side might have been harder to grow up, but I believe that everybody on the east side is getting a lot more help than the kids on the north side, right? Like we divert more funding. They have a little more outreach. And I don't see the issue with that, but when you start trying to segregate everything by race, and then you're telling a majority race that they're the minority or they're being held back, I don't see how that works.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If that's like your perspective of critical race theory, for sure. I mean, any message like that is sure to tell you like, oh, like I'm less than. for sure. But I think like the critical race theory that I guess I've become familiar with, or like the concepts of, are more so geared to, looking at it from all different perspectives instead of just one singular perspective in history. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that we should look at it from different perspectives and see what motivations were behind certain things. History is written by the victors, of course, but I also feel like, these people that are maybe don't feel represented, yes, they may have outreach programs or whatever the case is because their community needs it. Why do they need it? What's the history behind there? So I think that's important to understanding it and breaking that cycle so it could be a little bit more equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just say, like the aspect of having it in schools, it's simple. Let Texans decide what Texans are going to learn. Simple as that. Let's get the national out of it and let the Texans decide. So let our state elected officials decide on our state elected educational board, right? Like that's a better path than nationalizing the education system.
Not gonna lie, it'd be really fucking badass if Texas has like the #1 education system in all the states and actually ranks higher than the United States itself in the World Index. But
it'd be nice.
Yeah.
We are pretty far in that list as a country.
Like number 40.
I think we're like 30th in like math and science.
Another awesome thing to see a governor reach out or to push an issue on is Texas is spending a lot of money and they are mandating, like Rick Perry alone wrote that we have to be 25% renewable energies, right? As a state. Well, the way they're investing the money into green resources doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
So the state government gives the money to CPS. Okay. Right.
Figure it out. the one thing that has a monopoly in South Texas. Got it.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Like here in South Texas, so the state government should give the city and say, hey, city, on every bus stop, put solar panels. Like any city building we have with open real estate, let's put power there and start letting the city itself be a little more sustaining instead of giving the money to CPS and they build some wind farm in East Texas, or West Texas. And it's like, I don't know. I would like to see some more subsidies for consumers and, homeowners.
Maybe like more programs to help homeowners contribute to the power grid.
Exactly. So if we're struggling with our power grid, like they keep telling us, and like what we suffered through last year, would it be better okay, so if something's broken, would it be better to dump money into it or alleviate stress off of it? That's where we're at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's a couple different issues that are important to me. The ones that you guys hit on are major ones. Like the economy is definitely like in the forefocus of my mind, along with like women's rights too. So those are the two major key components that I'm looking for in the election. I think, Alan, you also said economy too. What was your other one?
I'm trying to look out for women's rights too. Some of the shit that's been going down in the other southern states is just not okay, especially with the Texas abortion ban. Like, you only get 6 weeks. That doesn't make sense. And I read through it.
It's not that you only get 6 weeks, right? So you get 6 weeks after every other version of contraceptive fails you.
Really? From what I understood, it's 6 weeks from your initial pregnancy date.
Conception.
Yeah.
So,
another
on this, because this is a big.
I wasn't
thing.
trying to go here, Pete.
Yeah. No, I wasn't either.
No, not even going in depth. I'm just going to say on the Attorney General Paxton, right? So he's dealing with the lawsuit over this specific bill.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the Biden administration is suing Texas over this specific bill that you're talking about, the 6-week bill.
Hmm.
And some of the arguments that came up is so like Missouri, I believe it is, who is the one in front that the Supreme Court might overturn Roe versus Wade because of this ruling that they're talking about. Are you a little more comfortable with their 8 weeks over the 6 weeks, or is it just so they're stating that a fetus feels pain after 8 weeks, so that's why they want to set the limit at 8 weeks.
Just let the doctors decide. Whatever doctors in the field say this is the last day for an abortion, that's what it should be. Not something that's decided by lawmakers, something that at least they consult with doctors. But
in that right now in New York, you have doctors saying it is okay to have an abortion up to the date of birth. So if you go at 9 months, it is possible in states like New York to file for and get an
For
abortion. For
medical reasons, or is that just
no? They have
whim?
They believe in again they don't want any restrictions on it. So
well, that's something that I'm looking for. Women's rights and social programs as well as something that I'm looking forward to. But I mean, one thing that you pointed out is that we can't funnel any more money into social programs until we fix fix the economy in Texas.
Bringing more money in too. I think that's the issue. Like, I mean, like our grocery bill, for example. Like our grocery bill has gone up at least $70 in the past year. Like I track all of our receipts and what we spend in groceries, and we pretty much plan this. We plan our groceries, we plan our meals. We've had to make like a couple okay, like we can make this meal that lasts over these couple of days, just to like a cost saving measure. And I think a lot of Texans are feeling that belt tightening right now, and I think that's going to be like the forefront of everybody's mind. How can we get the economy back on track? Are my finances secure? Crypto too. Like crypto is a very exciting thing that's coming up and it's becoming the norm. And like figuring how that plays into everything. We need lawmakers that are savvy and like this, that understand these issues, for sure. So a lot of litigation right now, things on ballots, a lot of different platforms to research. But yeah, it's going to be a fun election year.
I'm really curious to see how, once we get to some debates or maybe, some arguments, because like you said, you hit it. The energy prices are up, housing prices are up, food, cost of living prices are up, everything is up. So everything's up but wages, right? And wages increased for, minimum skill labor jobs. So now they're paying $16 an hour for a cashier at HEB, right? And that sounds good and that's awesome for that person. But now you got to think of heavily skilled labor jobs where people, work 6, 7, almost 10 years that just to get up to that $20-$25 range.
Yeah.
Well, with the inflation and everything going on, that $25 range is now back where the $18 range was before. And that's, I think, what's hurting the most.
Yeah, I'm stuck there.
That coupled with the taxes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if only we had Google money, right? Just to make settlements and pay people off. If Google like dissolved and like sold everything, we could probably pay to get the economy on track.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
You got to remember to get the economy back on track, we need about $30 trillion right now.
All we need to do,
That's a made up number anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
All we need to do
we'll print $1 trillion coin. It's good.
Hi, Sylvie.
Oh no, he's watching. He's obsessed with screens. Like, so it's only when we play a Switch game in the bedroom But if it's a Switch game, he'll sit there and he watches the screen the whole time.
Damn.
That's cute.
Like he's watching us right now.
Okay, I have an easy solution to our money problem. We take all the servers in Texas, all the Texas government-owned servers, turn them into mining machines every weekend. Boom. Bitcoin, just production of Bitcoin every weekend. It's gonna fuck with our electrical grid, but at least we'll have Bitcoin in the bank.
We just need to put solar panels on Marco's roof because we said we are gonna put them in his house, right?
That's right.
Well, yeah, but no. So it's weird, right? Because we're doing a car dealership right now. So the owner of the dealership is looking at what other dealerships are doing right now. So car dealerships are putting in solar carports. It's like, think about the massive size of a car dealership, right? So car dealership here in Texas have decided that it is cheaper for them to build massive solar farms on top of metal like rails so it can protect the cars from hail and all the other damage, so the insurance costs go down while they don't have any energy costs and they can start selling power into the grid.
That's smart.
That is smart.
You know, talking about how to get money in Texas, ERCOT opens up the market. So if I put solar panels on my house and I sell my power to CPS and they resell it, I can actually pocket cash. Like, that's what we need.
Nice.
Money, money, money.
Because you think about it. If y'all's landlord could be making money off the top of y'all's house right now, do you think they would?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know who
absolutely.
may not be making money in 60 days?
Who?
Google. So,
One.
let me break this down for y'all, because this is an interesting fucking topic. So, 2 years ago, Sonos filed a patent infringement against Google for stealing their wireless speaker technology. And their wireless speaker technology is like, oh, I do have one.
Everywhere?
Pretty much like this. It's a regular Google Nest. So Sonos, for those who don't know what Sonos is, it's a home speaker system where you buy a little hub that's like $100, and you can wirelessly connect as many of these speakers. They're bigger, like way bigger and way better than this little shit. You can put those wherever you want around the house, and music will play out of them across the network.
Even on the floor.
Even on the floor. Yeah, like that one. It'll just play music, right? All you got to do is plug it in. Well, Sonos and Google actually partnered together for a few years between 2012 and 2016 over development of just a couple of things, as well as, you know, being able to log in to your Sonos account using just the Google network for login, right? Kind of like you go to a website, sign in with your Facebook login information, same thing. Well, in 2016, when the partnership was up, Google started releasing the Google Homes. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. Remember when they gave one away for free?
Spotify.
Through Spotify?
Free listening device.
Yeah, pretty much. $50 little fucking thing. And now that they have all these products, well, Sonos and a trade court ruled that Google did infringe on the technology, and Sonos and the trade court said that Google will not be allowed to sell these products in the United States. They're not allowed to import them in from China. And Sonos is going as far as to say, you know what? How about you don't allow any of these following products to be even imported in? And the products are the Google Home smart speakers, like the one I threw onto the floor, Pixel phones and computers, and the Chromecast streaming video devices.
It's like their bread and butter right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's almost every device that Google releases. And the idea is that they all wirelessly communicate in the exact same way that the Sonos speakers do, which Sonos isn't happy about. Neither is the court.
But Google's been able to get away with stuff like this. Like Google and Amazon, right?
Mhm.
Amazon's notorious for carrying a product until they can copy it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know yet if Google will put in the effort to change the technology and file a new patent, or, and this is the more likelihood, just kill off the projects. Just be like, you know what? You guys liked your Pixel phones? Those are the last ones. We're not making anymore. We're not making any more Google Homes.
I mean, but really, what is it going to do? Just keep more shit out of the landfill? Because who uses Google products like that anyway?
Oh, no. Or, they'll pull a Facebook and just push forward with everything they're doing and say, no fucks given. Woo!
Probably.
We'll deal with the
No, I don't think so.
the heavy fines.
I don't think they'll be able to put up with the heavy fines. They're not allowed to sell those at all. As to what the fines would be, I'm not entirely certain, and they can't just blow off Sonos. This is
Their technology.
Yeah.
Their intellectual property.
Yeah. It's a trade patent. If anyone else says to sell it, they're gonna, I don't know.
Yeah,
I wonder how Amazon. Yeah, I wonder what Amazon uses for like their hold on, let me turn it.
The Echo Dots.
For their Alexas.
They probably have their own technology developed as to how they communicate with each other, because that was the real issue there. It's how these Google products are communicating with each other. That's a specific patent that Google is infringing on. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past Google to just throw them all away. They've thrown over 150 different projects in the trash can. Like, there's a website dedicated to it. They've been doing it since the 80s.
Google Plus, where it was the circles, or Google Circle.
That was, yeah.
I remember when that social media came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot more projects, though, in the trash than that actually have kicked off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the fact that if Google's name wasn't so easy, like, oh, Google that, right? As soon as we, as a group of people, stop using the term Google that, I think Google will die off.
I don't think Google will ever die off, to be completely honest. I don't know. Yeah, no. I think they're here to stay. Meta's going to have a hard time.
Mm-hmm. But, like, I mean, do you use Google on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. I do. I haven't. I started switching all of my emails over to my Outlook, but it's still a process. And I mean, and the Android environment is based off of Google services.
Yeah.
So like we're never getting rid of it. Kind of like Apple.
Well,
that's ingrained into our society now.
I mean, yeah. I never say never, right, Yahoo?
Mm-hmm.
or Blockbuster.
Ask Jeeves.
But like, I'm not saying,
Facebook.
yeah.
MySpace, there you go.
I don't think Google would die, I should say, but I don't think they would like die completely. But I think Google will reside to like a Yahoo standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's there, you can use it, but it's not going to be the go-to because people are going to start moving forward to, eventually the technology is going to become where you can have your own email server in your house, right?
You can already do that.
Little, doesn't say like it's already out there. It's still a little pricey, but the day that the $50 email server that all you got to do is plug it in like a Wi-Fi router, and then you can log in and set it up. The day we have that, why do you need Google anymore?
That's true. I mean, everything is open source now. I use multiple open source projects: VoiceMod, OBS Studios. I use a ton of them for work that I can't mention.
There's a lot of different options out there,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. I think Ethan's right. You just have to like try to branch out a little bit more. Maybe I'll use DuckDuckGo and try out a different browser. You gotta break your own habits. Sorry, I'm dying.
I feel like DuckDuckGo gives the same quality of answers Google does.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't have like the 6 to 7 ads before the first answer like Google does.
Well, you know what? I've been using DuckDuckGo since I want to say like August of this past year, I barely even noticed a change. Like DuckDuckGo
Yeah.
has been my primary search engine.
But
It's
that's
been
what I'm
nice.
talking about right there, you know? So, like, you know, me personally, I use Google Maps.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Hate
I
Google
use
Maps.
something alternatively for everything else.
Sorry, I can't open apps on this device.
Yeah, you can't open apps on that device. Why are you trying to open apps? But also, I like Google Maps. I didn't like Apple Maps.
Well, also, Google Maps bought out Waze, so.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy times in weather, crazy all over the world. I hope we don't have another snow apocalypse this year.
I'm waiting for it. I want my snow days. What are you talking about?
Coming.
If we have another snowpocalypse and we don't have a generator yet, can we crash at y'all's place?
I don't think
Maybe.
we'll find wood in time.
I don't think so either. Maybe, please. I'll smoke a brisket.
Yeah, no, we've had some crazy snowstorms throughout the U.S. I know over in Pakistan had a really bad one last week. It was near one of their resorts where in some places up to, I think it was 4 meters of snow came in.
Holy fuck.
Let me double check that number because
That's a lot of snow.
yeah. Let's see.
Does that area like typically get like heavy snow like that?
It does, because it is actually a tourist area for the snow. But unfortunately, this is just one of those ways that it turned horribly wrong. Over 123,000 cars were stuck in the snow trying to leave the tourist resort and get out. And unfortunately, I know confirmed up to 22, possibly 23 people have passed.
Oh no.
It was a mixture of hypothermia and carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, not just there. Over here, we recently had cars stuck on interstates for up to 24 to 36 hours. I don't think I've heard of any deaths from them. Fingers crossed.
I thought
I haven't heard. I think there was accidents that like caused
Yeah.
it. But like no casualties from actually sitting in the snow. Like I read like one story about like a bread truck was like on its way and people like was able to get like a permission to give the bread and stuff that's in the truck to the people that were in the snow because
That's
they
great.
couldn't go anywhere.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. Like that area has, like Virginia had been hit pretty hard. I think it was along I-95 highway.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a senator or somebody who got stuck in it, right? And so he was live tweeting.
Oh wow, no, I
I
didn't
didn't
know
know
that.
that. Only thing I knew about it is that a 18-wheeler jackknifed and that one side of the highway got really backed up, and because emergency vehicles couldn't go through, and then snow started to come down harder, and the other side of the highway backed up, and it was like that, like 50 miles, just gone.
I'd have to go back to the article you sent, NJ. I think that one had the tweets I'm referencing on it. Yeah, he was like, this 2-hour drive to DC is now, we're at 10 hours, we're at 15 hours, we're at 22, 26 hours.
Andrew Stein. Or
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully his bosses in DC won't be too mad. And then I recently found an article from the 4th of January where there was a snowstorm through the South and Mid-Atlantic regions. 5 people have been reported dead from the storm, and it ranges. In Townsend, Tennessee, there was a 7-year-old girl who passed after heavy snow caused a tree to fall on the rental property that her and her family were staying at. A 5-year-old boy in Georgia led to a tree falling on his home.
Oh my God.
And then, yeah, so it's just these storms, they're bad. The only thing I can really urge right now is just for people to start protecting yourselves, preparing in case something again happens down here. For some reason, I feel it in my bones it's going to happen. But, you know,
So you're the third person today, unrelated, that has told me that exact same thing. Like, I feel something coming.
we've been seeing these extreme temperatures for the last few years, but I think just now they're really coming to a head. And it makes sense because, you know, Earth has been kind of going back and forth in its global warming, and we're, you know, heading towards another ice age. And people are like, well, what do you mean? It's, you know, hotter in the summer. And well, yeah, it's hotter in the summer. Temperatures are becoming more extreme. That's kind of that's how it works. Earth already has, you know, a balance in itself, but carbon dioxide doesn't really help y'all. Just saying.
Mhm. I mean, that's why everyone's trying to really push. All these scientists have been really pushing, moving towards electric and renewable energy, and I get it. It's a big fear of mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, we do got to mention that since 2000, the U.S. is the leader in reducing its carbon emissions. It's actually,
That's awesome.
we're on year over year in a negative from where we were in 2000 versus other countries who are 300% where they were in 2000.
Yeah.
Looking at the
I think
the red country, right? Is that the one we're talking about?
China and India, those two
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
The two of them that don't join any of the agreements, like the Paris Accords or anything like that.
Yeah. I think at this point, scientists and professionals pretty much agree that there's nothing we can really do to stop what's happening, but we can do everything we can to try to minimize the impacts that we do.
A lot of like TikTokers, like creators that I follow, they have started posting like, hey, like here's kind of what to put in a winter kit, you know, if these things were to happen. So some things were like blankets, extra warm clothes, a first aid kit, portable lights, extra batteries, bottled water, you know, non-perishable foods. Like if you can't get a generator, get one. You know, like one of those heat blankets things, like have it in a kit and have it ready to go. Because I mean, the snow apocalypse happened so fast. Like we had very little warning that it was gonna happen. So I guess one of my people at work, they always tell me, no, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready. Like have that mentality, you know, moving forward with like this inclement weather, because places like Virginia and what it sounds like Pakistan, that's like, you know, they it's normal for them to have this type of weather. It's just not normal to have the amount that they have or the force that they have. So for them to go through that, like, can you imagine? Ugh.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I mean, we alone, we felt the winds change over the weekend here. I mean,
Yeah.
from Friday to today, it was dramatic, and you can feel everything cooling off. So if we get any type of moisture, it's gonna get cold real fast. I think that's the only thing that's keeping us pretty warm right now, is that we haven't had a heavy, you know, rainstorm or a lot of moisture in the air. But I could see that as soon as we get some moisture, it's gonna turn quick.
Yeah, they've been all going east. They've hit up all the east states. Like first it was tornado after tornado after tornado. Now it's just snow upon snow. Honestly, I'm worried. Like the minute it gets any colder here and it starts to rain, we're gonna be fucked. Cause I mean, just like during all those storms, all we had was mist every morning. Go ahead.
Do y'all have any storm preparations?
We've been preparing a little, yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all got a couple gallons of water?
The thing that we wanted to get
There
a
you go.
generator. Yeah. The generator is kind of like where we wanted to get it. But I ended up helping out my mom with that rather than get it for ourselves. So maybe it'll be an extra splurge. But we have a place to go if not. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Right. And that's the biggest thing is that if you're going to invest money in a generator, do not go buy a Harbor Freight special. Go get you something of quality that's going to last you at least through a big storm.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know shit about generators, and I had hit up Crazy, and I was like, "Hey, this is their breaker. Like, what do they need?" So get yourself an electrician friend. They have been very handy.
So the key is if you buy a house, buy it with the least amount of electrical appliances possible. So get a house with gas heat, gas stove, gas hot water heater, because that is what's going to... So even if the power plant stops turning, the gas lines are pretty much going to stay pressurized. So you'll at least have something for a couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
Weeks. That's pretty good to. That's good to know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Especially if a zombie apocalypse ever happened.
So one of my classes this semester is actually weather and climate. So we'll see what happens.
Ooh, fancy. I told my parents that I was thinking about getting a generator. Immediately, my mom's like, "Why? You don't need a generator. We need a generator. We run an RV
one,
park."
Mom.
Huh?
Okay, Mom, go buy one.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
Like you guys live like along the border, you know, like it gets a little cold there during this time, but not as cold as up here now.
Right, and the worst thing is, I mean, even if you get a cheaper generator that will just run your fridge, that's the biggest thing. So answer me this one thing: why did people let their food go bad when it was like fucking 10 degrees outside? It was colder outside than it is in your fridge. Take your food and put it in an ice chest on your back patio.
I didn't think of it. I didn't think of it, okay? I forgot to open the fucking fridge door. That's the honest truth.
You're supposed to keep it closed.
Until, it's like
To be honest,
8 hours and then you open it.
I didn't really think that. I personally didn't think that it was gonna be so long. Like I didn't think it was gonna take that long, you know, to make those preparations. By the time it was getting there, it was like we were already gone.
So like our freezer went out, like our big freezer, right, went out, but I saved it and I'm gonna put it on the back porch for this winter just in case. I can put everything in. It's well insulated. It's gonna be cold outside.
Yeah.
Throw some snow in there, we'd be good.
Yeah, throw a bag of ice, it'll be fine.
I wonder how ice sales were during Snowstorm. Did they sell anything? If they did, that's impressive.
Just go scoop a bunch of snow into a trash bag. There you go. Right? Like, why was there not some kid on the corner just scooping snow into like little ice bags and selling it for like $2 a pop? Like, here you go. Here's your snow. Put it in your freezer.
I kept some snow. I kept it till like July, I think.
I was like, did you make an ice ball and throw it at somebody?
No. I was saving it for my birthday, but then at that point it became too hard and solidified. So it's not worth it. It would
be throwing a block of ice at somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep it in like a sub-zero freezer.
I didn't even think about that. I just put it in a Ziploc bag, threw it in the freezer. A few months later, the Ziploc bag was open. I'm like, oh no, it's solidified. Oh well.
Well, to round out today's show, I had no great way of transitioning to this topic. Supreme Court is started their
argue.
They have Supreme Court started its oral arguments for the vaccine mandate, and Crazy has more information for us.
Oral.
Please present your
Welcome to the
oral
NAKE'd
demonstration.
So, this has started the argument about if the president could reinstate the vax mandate if it's legal or constitutionally allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So listening to a bunch of the arguments coming out, it is sounding like they're going to strike down the federal mandate. But it does sound like they're going to leave it open to state mandates, which is perfectly fine. I'm for if New York wants to mandate it, I won't go to New York. Simple as that. But then again, you know, everybody has the right to body autonomy, right? Like that. If we're gonna push that, then we got to pick that lane, and that's where I'm at on it. I don't think it's a good look that the administration has gone. And Judge Clarence Thomas made this point that they've gone through a lot of avenues to try to force this down. So it looks like they're just scattershotting and seeing what hits. And that's not a good way to run legal battles of let's throw it at the wall and see what sticks. So
I think it's also important, like, hearing what all the justices had to say, like John Roberts, he like remarked that he's like, this has never been done before. So yeah, the Supreme Court has heard things about vaccination mandates, but in this capacity, it's a lot different. And in those cases, we're a lot different. And you know, it's never been done before. And honestly, a lot of the justices seem to have the mentality of like, this is not a Supreme Court issue. This is a federal state issue at the very most. And like Amy Coney Barrett, one of the newest justices, she says, you know, it reaches way too broadly over these large employers, like industries like meatpacking and dental office. Yeah, they're subject to regulations, but, you know, not like landscapers or other type of industries that don't have these regulations. So then all of a sudden you're going to force these regulations onto them that is not typically the norm. And I thought that was an interesting perspective because I haven't really considered that. And then you have like your liberal justices that are saying, well, you know, this pandemic has killed nearly 1 million people. And basically 2 million, like out of this, if this were to happen, right? If this was like a federal statute, out of this, 22 million people will be vaxxed, preventing about 250 hospitalizations, which fine. But at the same time, it's the administration doesn't have that reach in terms of regulations. I think personally, it's your body, your choice. If you don't want to get a vaccine, that's fine. But there are consequences to not getting a vaccination, like not being able to fly on an airplane. That's a public safety measure. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that you should force anybody to get the vaccine. But that's just my take on it.
So, but I mean, why can you restrict public means, right? So in order to properly say that you're going to restrict a certain population of the United States from using air travel, then you're going to have to make sure that the air industry gets no government subsidies or any government help in any way, because you're still asking those people to pay for that. Mm-hmm. And right now, the airline industry in the United States would collapse overnight if we took away the government subsidies from it.
Yeah, and that's a super important point. It's because they receive federal money.
That's where I think it comes in on it shouldn't be federally mandated to exclude citizens of the population if those citizens' tax dollars still have to go to fund that organization or go to subsidies to that company in any way. That is one of the reasons why I don't think Google and Twitter should have the right to ban Congress people and city presidents or other public figures who are using the platform for public means. So
it's not a public platform though. It's a private organization. It's a privately owned platform that's available to the public.
It is a private organization, but it is a publicly subsidized platform. It does take taxpayer money, and it is used as a what do you call it? A forum, a public forum. So under the public
Like
forum
your
law,
town square.
your town square. There you go. So under the certain laws and by that we already have passed, like Twitter itself would be considered a public square, right? So your public speech should be protected there.
But it's
I mean, well, that's another that's a big question, and we need legal litigation, I think, to get a good answer on that. And that's why I like that they are taking this to Supreme Court and pushing, and we're actually getting to hear about this mandate, because there is a lot of questions and a lot of issues that we're suffering from. And I think if we get some clear legal delegation on it, it would help dramatically. Like, if the Supreme Court would have said something about the election, I think we would have avoided a lot of the conflict that came after that.
That's a good point.
I can agree with that.
Because there was, 16 cases in front of them over it.
So what do you think, like, when will they come to a decision? Like, I know that the Supreme Court is kind of like being expeditious with their docket, but I think they have a lot of other issues at hand that they're trying to get through. So when do you think that we'll have like a final ruling?
I don't think we'll see a ruling on this one. I think they're going to hear it out and then they're going to kick it down and say this isn't a federal issue, this is a state issue. And so that will set a precedent of more or less states can do what they want on enacting a vax mandate or not. And then,
honestly, I think that's the best plan of action.
It is.
If you have hot spots in a certain area, that's your prerogative to figure that out for your own people. And honestly, it comes clean in election day. Like you can't blame the federal government. You can only, blame your own, the way that you're leading. Or on the vice versa, okay, this has worked out great. Our economy is this, our hospitalizations are that.
So to quote Biden himself to the governors, there is nothing the federal government can do to stop COVID. It is a state matter. And that right there says everything about this lawsuit.
Well, there it is.
I mean, that's quote Biden exactly. That's what he said. There's no federal solution.
It's just so dumb. It's so embarrassing.
And so, I mean, but that's why I think it's really important that we hear this out in court, because this is a big overreach in, I think, the federal government. I do think this is a state. And I think it is okay for a state like New York to implement the mandate, because you do have the option to move to another state. When you come to mandating in industries like the airline or the bus industry or Amtrak, there's no other option, right? So like that's the biggest thing, like you bring up Twitter. The biggest thing is I can't go to Parler anymore because Twitter and Amazon made sure to shut that down so that nobody else can use it, right? Like there's no alternative, or I forget what ruling it is, but there's certain rulings like in men and women's sports, right? Like it's okay to have a men's division and a women's division as long as there's a clear-cut division for each person so everybody can compete, right? When you look at Twitter is set up in a leftist perspective, right? The people that run it, the people that where it is stationed have a more left perspective of the world, right? So when they implement rules that only apply to them, then you're forcing other people to live under those rules, and there's no alternative to those rules, right? Like we can't, as digital creators, we can't ignore Twitter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So if there's a matter of where like a state can mandate it and you can go to another state and live your life happily, I would be okay with that. But the federal mandate where there's no options is where I think is a big overreach of the federal government. And from listening to oral arguments, I believe that's where the Supreme Court is leaning towards. That this is the majority of a state matter.
Well, what about other states like Florida, where Ron DeSantis let like 100,000 or a million COVID tests expire, where he consistently just downplays the vaccine and hasn't set up restrictions, or just continues to allow people to just go in and out of their everyday lives. Like Florida's been a hotspot time and time again.
He's a governor, not a king. I mean,
no, yeah,
he
but
can't control people. He's doing what his constituents want. So at the end of the day, however you feel about Ron DeSantis, if you listen to the people of Florida, they're loving him. He is everything that they want right now, and that's fine. I think people in Florida should live how people in Florida want to live. People in Texas should live how people in Texas want to live. And I don't think Florida should be. I don't think New York should be mandating how people in Florida live.
Okay.
Especially seeing as last week, New York alone was 25% of cases of the United States. Right?
Wow.
We're talking on.
Damn.
Yeah, out of the entire United States, they were 25% of known cases, and they are the heaviest vaccinated, heaviest restricted. They have mask mandates, vax mandates. You can't enter a restaurant if you're 5 years older and you're not vaccinated, right? But there's still the majority of cases in the country.
You can't
statewide.
dine in a restaurant.
Yeah.
One of my direct reports just moved to New York, and they were telling me, oh, like I didn't have my vaccination card, so I couldn't eat in this restaurant. I had to eat outside where it was like snowing. It was just a really bad time for them.
and we got to understand that everybody's a little different, and we can't just one size fits all policies are not going to work. And I think this one size fits all is a horrible idea. And even in these oral arguments in front of the Supreme Court, they said the Biden administration's lawyer has said, oh, the vaccination does not stop the spread of COVID-19. So vaccinated people are still going to spread it. So at the end of the day, what is the vax mandate accomplishing? Like, what is its goal? That's the question.
And that's a totally understandable viewpoint. You know, like I was thinking about it too, especially like with COVID COVID transmissions, the amount of impact that it's had on people who've already been vaccinated or had booster shots. This latest strain, you know, is a lot more contagious. Yes, it's a little bit more mild, but if it's not doing what it should be doing, then why are we having all this conversation and debate against it? And honestly, that just comes from, I guess, like my own speculation. Like, I don't know data or numbers or anything like that, like off the top of my head, but everything you hear, I can see the perspective of why is this a mandate if it's not effective, if social distancing, masking up in during hot spots or whatever, or in certain situations is totally acceptable and, you know, it's fine. Yeah.
See, but that's the thing, right? So as a human being, as one person, I can wake up tomorrow morning and I can put a mask on, and I can go and I can get a shot at any corner around here, or I can go get in line for a test. Like, all of that has been readily available, and they've done a decent job of making all of those items available. But no matter how many times you try to give something to somebody, if they don't want it, they don't want it. Like, you can't force it upon them at that point. And I think that's the point we've gotten. Like, it's readily available and everybody has the option. Like, and like the mask mandate, I was against it from the beginning, right? Because if the mask is effective and it does anything, then you should be totally comfortable wearing your mask, and you're protecting yourself. You're doing everything you can, right? Because there's somebody down the street not wearing a mask. You can't run up to that person and try to tell them how to live their life and try to control that person. It's not going to work. gonna be a cohesive society at that point. That's authoritarianism.
That's where I differ in opinion. Like if the way masks work isn't just you wearing it, it has more impact of everybody wearing it. But I understand your point of mandating others to do it. To me, it just makes sense. Like, you're protecting yourself. You could be protecting other people. Just put on the fucking mask. Like, it's not that big of a deal. On the flip side of it, I can also see from the perspective of, why are you so pressed for me to have this mask on me? You know, like, or why are you so pressed to put a vaccine in me? Like, what's the overall goal here? And I can understand being suspicious of that. But at the same time, when it comes to public safety, like, it should be a no-brainer. Just wear a mask. Like, it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't impact you in any other way than a minor inconvenience.
Well, you're making a good point. But also, at a certain time, go for somebody who has taken 3 shots and wears a mask. Like our president, right? He was triple vaccinated, right? He's taken the 2 shots and the booster. He wears the double mask. If he doesn't look comfortable in the situation, how is forcing me into your uncomfortable situation gonna make you more comfortable, right? Like it. So you're saying I need to wear a mask to protect you, even though you've taken 3 vaccine shots and you're wearing a mask. At what point is me taking it gonna affect you anymore? Like, how are you any safer than you already are?
Yeah, I'm not talking about vaccines. I'm talking about just like mask wearing in general and social distancing.
But that's what I'm saying. It all comes together because the people who are like the mask mandates, the people who are pushing it, and the people who get upset when you're out in public, or the people who have been vaccinated and wear a mask on a regular basis. Like, that's on average the rule, not the exception. So if you're not going to be comfortable with it, how is that going to convince me to be comfortable with it?
I don't really understand what you're asking. I'm not uncomfortable wearing a mask or getting a vaccine.
But at a certain point, no matter how many vaccines and how long you've worn a mask, you're still not comfortable to be without a mask. You don't have confidence in the vaccine, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, the way it's being projected by people who...
I gotcha.
You don't have confidence in masks. You don't have confidence in the vaccine. So you want me to take the vaccine and you want me to wear a mask so that you feel more comfortable with...
Well, I think, too, it's
situation.
Just like... It's like, I don't really care what anybody else does. Like, my personal... I don't go anywhere. Like, first of all, I'm injured, so I can't go anywhere. And second of all, like, you know, I choose not to participate in certain events because I know that it could be a super spreader, you know, thing. And that's my prerogative. And I understand it from the other side, you know, of like, well, it is my prerogative to take place or participate in these events or do these type of things or not wear a mask and not to get the vaccine. It's your choice, ultimately. I just don't understand the logic of, you know, I guess the vaccines regardless, because I feel a little conflicted with it. I feel like I would get the booster. I still haven't gotten the booster yet. But I would get the booster. I would try to take any measure that I can to prevent, you know, a hospitalization, really. But that's my own personal health choice. That's not your health choice. And I just feel that people forget that. They get so caught up in like on the flip side of it too. Oh, like, you wearing a mask, you fucking snowflake. Like, I've seen those interactions, you know, and on the flip side, I've seen people give dirty looks to other people that don't wear masks or that don't social distance. So I don't know what the answer is here, but people just need to stop being so shitty at the end of the day.
That's at the end of the day. I think that was it. Just, can we just stop telling other people how to live their life? No matter what it is. Like,
yeah. Crazy times. We'll have to agree to disagree. Per usual.
But I mean, I don't know. I've through all this watching how people react, it's like, yeah, I can say I made fun of people who are driving by themselves in their car with a mask on. At a certain point, we have to start being comfortable with the world around us and accepting that there are risks to living life and start living life again.
I just think it's a different time right now. It's not just living life; it's being safe while doing so. I mean, with this variant alone, kids rates are like through the roof that are getting COVID right now.
So
hospitalizations are up.
Yeah. So Judge Sotomayor in the oral arguments quote a statistic that was way wrong. Just way to put it. So she on record says that there's like 100,000 child hospitalizations right now. And the CDC number on CNN, the CDC director it was on Fox News that she did another interview and corrected Judge Sotomayor and said it's actually 3,500, not 100,000.
3,500?
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's like a pretty big discrepancy.
but so, you know, that comes back to it, right? Like, these are the people making the decisions about this. And that is
it doesn't sway public trust at all.
It's hard to have faith in
mismanagement of information.
Yeah.
And that's fair too. That's totally fair to say, especially because we live in a time where you can't trust any information that comes out of any news network. Or even like the CDC has lost a lot of faith. Like their recent ruling of, like, you know, we had the 14 days, the 10 days, the 5 days, back to 10 days, back to 5 days. People are like, what is even up anymore? Like all these agencies have lost so much public trust that I can totally understand how somebody would not want to not listen to what they had to say, but also not trust what they had to say. And that's totally fair.
I know it will definitely be interesting. We do have a huge docket of Supreme Court cases coming up over the next couple weeks. So this is just the kickoff of them. And it kicked off big time.
I mean, clearly.
When did you say that we'll see the results?
There's no telling with them. They move on their own time frame. But from what they're sounding like and what they've said so far, that they're just going to kick it back to the lower courts. They're not going to. The Supreme Court doesn't make a ruling unless they absolutely have to.
I think that's fair. I think we should probably do everything we can before we set a national precedent on something.
I mean, look at how long it took for the infringement against Google to come out. 2 years. Blizzard is still being
yeah, I was
sued.
just about to mention.
Yeah.
Look how quickly the whole Epstein Maxwell case just wrapped up. Everything locked away, and nobody knows what happened.
I still firmly believe Epstein didn't kill himself.
Oh, did you hear that the two guards of his cells, the day after Maxwell's trial, all charges were dropped. They were set free. No questions asked.
That's not okay.
And an hour after her ruling, all her files were sealed, so nobody can see them. Nobody can know what happened.
I feel like those should be public record. If we're paying these judges tax dollars, it should be public record, unless a minor.
They seal them for public figures. So.
Boo.
But Prince Andrew, who was dragged into the mud a little bit on this, is facing his own courts in the UK. So maybe we'll see something.
That'll be interesting. See a royal go through the courts.
But what are we doing?
Why do they even have a royal family anymore?
Yeah.
Decoration.
Oh, yeah. They're still the largest landowners in the world.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what makes them so powerful. They own more land than any other family.
Have you guys seen Don't Look Up yet?
No, it's on the list.
Don't watch it.
What?
Don't watch it. It's exactly what you would think would happen if an asteroid was heading towards Earth.
I know, that's why I want to watch it, because it's going to be so the opposite of Armageddon, right? Like, we got it, we're going to hit it with a nuke.
Oh my gosh. Totally. You nailed it. Meryl Streep plays the perfect president. Like, she is just so ostentatious in this movie. And it's really funny. There's one part in particular, if you guys do watch it, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's one part in particular where the guy, the Secretary of Defense, he like comes into this room where these scientists are sitting. He's like, hey, like, I got snacks for you. They charge him $5 a pop, and it's like cheese nips and a bottle of water. And they're like, okay. And then later on, they go back to the kitchen to get snacks, and Jennifer Lawrence's character is like, hey, where do we pay for these snacks? And the girl's like, they're free. And the entire movie, she was just like, why did he charge us for them? Like, he's like a decorated veteran, and he's makes this much money a year. Why did he charge us for this?
It goes on throughout the movie. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, God. We actually just started a new show, Abbott Elementary. It's a mockumentary on Hulu. Well, it's on TV, but it's on Hulu.
Yeah, you gotta have Hulu TV to watch it.
Yeah, one of my coworkers, she's like, "Have you watched this yet?" And I'm like, "No." Like, have no idea what to expect. And it's pretty much on point for an elementary school.
So the lead actress, I've never seen her in anything before. I think she's a new name. But one of the co-stars was the guy from Everybody Hates Chris, the guy who played Chris Rock. He all grown up. He's one of the other teachers.
Oh, I bet it's funny. Pretty funny.
What are we doing this week, Crazy?
Hopefully, we got one game left of Back for Blood. Yes. And I've been trying to get Beach to build up some cards. So hopefully we got a good deck of cards and we can get through this last level.
I worked on my deck the
Cards
last time we
do.
played.
Yeah.
The cards, they have special effects on them, so like you can reload faster. Certain items will do more. You'll do more damage. They vary,
Okay, cool.
but they're helpful.
I got one card, the Breakout. So if you hold X, you can break out of any like Crusher or in a Sleeper, and it makes the world of difference.
It's got to be E for me
No.
then.
Oh, what are you gonna do on Sunday?
Hang out with Sylvie.
All right, Sylvie Cam. I will more than likely try to convince Kata to come back to Final Fantasy with me again next Sunday. We had a lot of fun this last Sunday. And if not, I'll probably be hitting that Harry Potter Lego.
Maybe.
Nice.
I hope Kata joins. It was really nice to hear her.
Mm-hmm.
She was excited to talk to you too.
Quick question. Before we show and run with the exit, NJ, who are you rating tonight?
Your mom.
Let's see.
But seriously, go check out Peach's mom's Twitch channel. It's Peach's mom. She streams every day. Awesome food.
Hold on. I'm
What
curious.
about secondhand CK?
Secondhand? Shoot, do I have them on here?
So the question is, can we convince Alan's mom to stream?
No.
You just look in the camera and yell. You can yell out anything you want. Just go for it. It's the internet.
I would totally watch his mom stream because talking to her is a wild ride. It's a lot of fun. He's also super crafty too, so it can be kind of fun to see her process.
So what we have to totally do is we have to set up all of our moms. No introduction. We just set them all up to stream together, and we just let the shit show go.
It reminds me of those Facebook videos where they would have like grandmas come in and they do like they either get drunk or they get high like on pot or like other things and they just film them. I would watch hours of that content because it's hilarious.
It'd be the grandmas and me. So the me would have to be Keelan's mom. She's not a grandma yet. All the rest are grandmas. So the grandmas.
Sylvie is her grand cat. What are you talking about?
And Pepper, her oldest.
Yeah.
We got him together.
Yeah, but
Aw.
Shiner's her favorite, so.
Oh. Well, hey guys, thanks
Hello,
for being
you
here.
Foodie Euro. Welcome to the end of the stream.
Woo. Here's our schedule for the week.
Is it the right one? Is it the right one?
It's the right one.
Well, that
Is
wraps
it?
up another great episode. And don't forget to join our amazing and supportive community on Discord.
In our Discord, you can find game nights, watch parties, food pics, Dungeons and Dragons, and more. What's not to love about that? We have a little something for everyone. Head over to our website, officialmillennials.com, and you'll find more info, especially our featured gamer of the week.
Speaking of something for everyone, we have a book club. We read a book almost every month and talk through it together. We also have a special perk for our subs to discuss other books in a series called Chapter 2.
Don't forget to swing by YouTube and drop us a follow at Official Millennials. You can also find us on Twitter at MillsOfficial. We appreciate all the support, and y'all have a good one.
Bye, bitches.
Bye.
Did you
This is an official Millennials production.
Did you re-record that last part? It sounded different.
I haven't
No.
changed it.